The Republican plan to cut health care wouldn't make America great again. It would make America sick again.
So make America sick again? Is that what the Republicans want to do?
I think they're trying to make Americans think like someday this February or someday this March, you're going to wake up and you won't have a health insurance plan. That ain't happening. That's not true. The legislating on Obamacare will happen this year.
Well, the battle to repeal Obamacare is on, well, has lawmakers duking it out. Of course, it is President Obama's, quote, signature health care law. This is a signature law general. Trump, though, weighing in this morning on the whole thing, tweeting, time for Republicans and Democrats to get together and come up with a health care plan that really works. Much less expensive and far better. Here to discuss, Heather Higgins, Lisa Booth, and Eric Erickson. Heather, you wrote a great piece in USA Today, and you're really concerned that Congress is going to fumble the ball here, talking about maybe some form of a partial repeal. They may make a mistake and assume that Americans went to the voting booth, and like they did, I guess, for the midterm election as well. Got the message wrong.
Well, understand that Republicans have understood from the get-go, because we look at secondary and tertiary events, right, that we predicted the collapse of Obamacare, and it is now collapsing. You've got 20% of recipients having only one insured, right, and you've got huge increases in costs, and the thing is
But everyone
working.
agrees that it's imploded on itself, and,
Exactly.
and most people knew that was going to happen in the first place. But what about putting it back together again? This is where you have some anxiety.
Right. Well, the concern is that this is talking political shop for just a minute here, but because of the rules of reconciliation that are in the Senate, a lot of the people in the Senate are concerned that if they do something other than exactly the version of the bill that was passed in 2015 that Obama vetoed, that it won't get through that process of needing only 51 votes. The problem with that, it does many good things, but while taking away the subsidies, it leaves all the things that makes insurance so expensive. And so if anything, it will make the collapse happen faster. And what that article is talking about is understanding that you have real problems right now for people. This is about solving problems for people, minimizing harms, and smoothing it out for them so that nobody else gets hurt. And there are some ideas in there about how to make that happen so that nobody gets hurt, and in fact people get help a lot sooner than is presently being discussed.
And yet, Eric, there's still some debate even amongst Republicans on exactly how to do this, and how should it be done, how swiftly should it be done. I think was it Rand Paul who said listen, he's not going to go for anything that doesn't have an immediate replacement set. How do you think this should go?
I think they should go in and repeal the whole thing if they can and get it through the Senate rules. Heather's right about the reconciliation and the process there, but if you go in and repeal Obamacare now, people aren't going to get to the breaking point until sometime next year because they're already on insurance plans this year and they need to figure out something through. They don't need to rush something through to replace Obamacare that was itself rushed through. And frankly, one of the things that's being missed in all of this is the New York Times, for example, running a story on all the great benefits people are getting from Medicaid and from the Affordable Care Act exchanges. What about the people who had really good insurance plans and now have to have really bad insurance plans because of Obamacare? Like a friend of mine who now has to have a plan to avoid the Obamacare penalty, but no doctor will take it. Or the millions of people who are on their spouse's insurance plan, but because of Obamacare, now have to go through their own employer and get more expensive, less meaningful insurance plans. No one wants to talk about those negative downsides of Obamacare.
Well, it feels like the Democrats are playing the blame game, and again, the Republicans aren't necessarily on the same page. In fact, Rand Paul was on just on the 4 o'clock hour. Let's take a quick listen to what he had to say. And Lisa, I want your thoughts.
Sure.
Well, I advocate for a full replacement same day as we do the repeal. The government limits how many organizations can sell this insurance, and the rules are too strict. What we need to do is expand that wide open. Under the plan that I would have, nobody would be left out in the cold buying insurance by themselves anymore. Everybody would be part of a large voluntary association. Virtually every Republican is for that concept.
Lisa, we know that Tom Price has put together and he's worked on this. He's got alternatives ready to go. Could they be ready to go so quickly that that we can repeal and replace the entire thing in 24 hours, the same 24-hour period?
Well, I mean, I think we have to understand the fact that we're talking about a massive entitlement here that's been in place since 2010. So Republicans are now dealing with the complexities of how to replace it. But you're right, Tom Price has championed, putting forward various ideas and how to replace it. And Republicans absolutely need to get this done. But to Eric's earlier point, we're going to continue to hear this fear-mongering by the left because this is President Obama's crown domestic achievement for a guy who has staked his ground and made so many decisions based on legacy. You know, he wasn't able to get a lot done with consensus in Congress. A lot of what he did was through executive fiat. It's going to be unraveled. And now looking at Obamacare, one of the only things he was able to get done in Congress, mind you, only done on a partisan basis, is also going to be undone. So, you know, he's got a lot of stake in doing everything he can to raise the fears of Americans, to try to draw that sharp criticism of Republicans. And we're going to see the mainstream media carry that mantra and put that information out to people.
You know, a strange irony here is I bet you in private he's probably hoping that Republicans do fix it in some form because it's not necessarily the best legacy to leave behind. Guys, thank you all very much. Well, America's enjoying a massive construction boom. The question then